After 7 days of a fall, the market is finally gaining some ground today and seeing a rebound, so up 0.6%, and the mid-cap index is up 1%. Let's get Arvind Sanger, Managing Partner at Geosphere Capital Management, who joins us from the sidelines of the Kotak Global Investors Conference that's currently underway. Arvind, hi, good morning. Your namesake is taking Delhi by storm. So Arvind Kejriwal is all set to become the next Chief Minister in Delhi. How do you think, this event per se would have any impact on the markets at all? I mean, how do you think the government will react now, and will it change anything at the center?
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know the answer to that. I worry about the fact that there's, a couple of pointers. You had the oil marketing companies suddenly drop prices last week, which was somewhat unexpected. You had a few months ago when the regulator announced a price increase on electricity prices, the local government, I guess it was a governor general or whatever the person's title is, annulled that decision. So you've had some regressive decisions by, I guess, BJP leading up to the elections, trying to set the stage for maybe a better outcome than turned out. So in the end, clearly we're going to see some populism from this Arvind Kejriwal government in terms of trying to provide cheaper electricity and cheaper water. And the problem with that is that if that is becoming an electoral model that other states follow, then how does BJP counter it? Does it have to be more populist? And so I think that you can paint a somewhat negative picture which could have broader implications. I'm not ready to paint that picture yet, because I'd like to see over the next few weeks, the oil marketing companies on February 15th, I believe, will be making the next price decision. I'd like to see both petrol and diesel prices move up as quickly as they move down now that oil has rebounded. And if that doesn't happen, that's a bad signal. B, I would look for, from the budget, some framework of how they're thinking about presenting realistic numbers with some, actually spending which is needed, and some way to balance the numbers without counting on gimmicks. And then C, and I think most important would be some of the ordinances that need to be passed through Parliament, and how the government proceeds with some of the tough steps that it's trying to take in terms of whether it's a mining issue or it's other issues, or it is as regards to what they're doing with land acquisition and other issues. So I think I would like to see more continued action and no kind of getting weak-kneed at this point by the Prime Minister and the BJP government.
No, that point is taken. Governments in India never seem to learn that populism has not paid so far. It didn't pay for the UPA. It hasn't paid for the NDA in Delhi either. But I actually wanted to talk to you about earnings, but let me just finish this political argument or the political economic argument. What are you expecting from the budget?
Well, I'm not sure that, I think your previous speaker was saying the same thing, that I believe that the budgets are really, in my opinion, not as important as some of the, it's more a statement of intent of how the government sees the world. So I'm not paying specific attention to what are they going to do to specific tax breaks, what are they going to do to encourage, different investments. But the question is, and I think RBI and others have commented on this, what is the quality of the fiscal deficit reduction? Is it counting on, again, unnecessary spending curbs, or is the government going to be willing to continue to invest and control subsidies? And if that's, clearly that's where I'm looking for direction from the budget, is clearer vision on subsidies, clearer vision on government investment, and emphasis on investment and emphasis on control of subsidies. And over and above that, maybe a framework which will, as I said earlier, come from other things that come out of the legislative session, which will give, and GST is obviously an important thing, but I'm not sure this budget is going to do anything other than talk about it, that's separate from the budget. But those are important roadmaps that hopefully the budget session becomes a statement of intent of what they want to do rather than the numbers themselves making any dramatic new promises. And frankly, I'm less concerned about whether the deficit that they show is 3.5% or 4%. I'm more concerned about how they get to those numbers and what are the components of that deficit. And I think the quality of the budget deficit and what it's going for, that'd be more important.
Okay. By the way, there's a major rebound in the market. Now the Nifty has conquered 8,600, and that's with quite a bit of zest. Just an early morning trade. Yep. It's not even 1 hour since we've started trading, and the Sensex is up about 280 odd points. So there is quite a bit of short covering that you are seeing in individual banking names as well. So keep an eye out on that.
Actually, in the Nifty, the top 5 gainers are all banks. Yeah. PNB up, some 3.6. Bank of Baroda up nearly 3%. Axis is up about 3% to 2.7. SBI 2.5. IndusInd 2.7. IDFC 3. So actually, the top gainers are all banks.
In fact, Arvind, coming on the market direction, I mean, the month of February has not been very kind to us, but in general, in the first half of this year, this calendar year, what is the expectation and how the Indian markets could perform, give and take so many important cues?
Well, I mean, I think, you've had a couple of headwinds for the market lately. One is clearly, oil prices have rebounded a little bit. Secondly, you've had this ARP thing developing in slow motion over the last few weeks. So it wasn't just the exit poll results, but even before that, the signs were disquieting. So I think there was some selling on that. The earnings have been very disappointing. The banks particularly have disappointed with the NPA issue not seeming to be having peaked yet, so that's been a negative surprise. So there's been a few headwinds. I would say the earnings were probably the most important of them, and the banks have sold off on that. And I think today's rebound is probably just from an oversold condition. But I think the economic data remains puzzlingly weak. And I would say puzzlingly because, it's been a long time since this new government came in. Inflation has come down. A lot of other positive things have happened in the backdrop. And yet, there doesn't seem to be, the good feeling is not translating into economic action. And that's where, if I were, advising the government, that's where they have to be concerned that they need to take action to make sure that whatever it is that is keeping businesses and consumers from spending, which is getting the economy kick-started, whatever they can do to help kick-start that. And I guess there's some good things that we hear that are in the offing. Apparently the road side is, infrastructure side is about to kick off in a meaningful way, but other things that can kick off would be helpful in jump-starting the recovery.
So yesterday, the L&T CFO was pointedly saying that he has not seen too much even on the road sector, Arvind. But, the other issue I want to ask you is, now with this earnings season, are you adding anything at all to your portfolio? Are you a buyer now? If yes, in what?
I'm a buyer on dips, but I had kind of gotten a little more hedged a couple of weeks ago because I felt a lot of good news was in the market, and it just felt prudent to do that. But I think the banking sector still remains interesting. The one thing I will tell you that I worry about is the current oil price and the kind of assumption that oil prices are going to stay low for a long time. I think oil prices, the current rebound may not sustain, and I think oil prices are likely to go lower before they go higher. But in 12 months, oil prices could be back at $75, $80 in my opinion. And so one of my concerns is, how is the budget going to be dealing with assumptions on subsidies related to oil? And one of the concerns I have is India going to be, using that old ant and grasshopper fable, is India going to be a grasshopper or an ant in this period of getting this benefit from, unusually and unsustainably low oil prices? So I think, in the short term, I think that India looks interesting to me, and I buy individual names in sectors where I may like them, and banks could be one of them. Stocks related to the CV cycle, which I think is likely to turn, and even some infrastructure-related companies, if they sell off much, would be interesting. But the power sector is one that I think has been uninvestable for a while. And with AAP's election, I think that makes it even more troublesome whether or not they're going to be able to meaningfully reform the SEBs, or is the free power still so attractive to voters that it's going to be very hard to fix the fundamental problems of state electricity boards not charging enough for power to be able to afford to buy power even though there's power available.
It's a great reality check, Arvind Sanger. Thank you very much.